but which cannot find a place in the balance sheet. Correct? So tangible assets plus intangible assets multiplied with capability is going to produce competencies, and competencies used in the environmental context is going to result in competitive advantage. Right. So we have started using mathematics also in our strategic management. Correct? Now, what are we going to cover in the organizational analysis? Organizational behavior, strengths and weaknesses, synergies. In fact, these are the factors which we have used in that particular diagram in the previous page. Okay, what are the factors? First, identification of key factors. So the same thing. In the in the environmental context also we figured out which are the factors we are going to consider. Here also we are going to talk about which are the factors we are going to consider. Then what is the importance of those factors in a scale of 1 to 3, low, medium, or low, moderate, or high. Assessing strength and weaknesses of key factors in the light of competitors and likely future scenarios. Preparing OCF, organizational capability profile, and combined with the strategy, creating the competitive analysis profile of the organization. Now, what are the factors in organizational analysis? Obviously, these are the primary factors or functions of any organization, isn't it? Production operation is the function which is responsible for creating that product or service the organization is intending to sell. Correct? Marketing, the responsibility of making the product made known, available to the target group, and making the product reach the target group, and providing after sales. So all those is a part of your sales, marketing, distribution, and all. Finance, making money available to the organization for carrying out these processes as and when required at the cheapest possible cost of capital. Correct? Now, when you talk about cost of capital, is there any capital which we can safely say free of cost? Is there a capital which we can call a free of cost capital? Goodwill is not a capital. In fact, you cannot sell goodwill and generate money. The business requires hard cash to function, isn't it? And when you need money, you need to have a source, whether it could be investors or owners. Got it? And they don't give you free of cost. When you approach a bank, the bank is going to provide you money, but there is an interest attached to it. So your cost of capital is that interest percentage. My question is there a source of capital available to the business for use at zero cost of capital? Yes or no? Exactly. Retained earning, right, is the one which is available to you at zero cost of capital, isn't it? Technically it is not, because if the investor has or if the owner has left behind some money which is due, rightfully theirs, isn't it? They expect some returns from this money also, but you are not bound to pay any money at this point of time. If you are able to invest in wisely and the investment is going to generate more money for the owners, they are not complaining. So the management is free to use that money free of cost. Got it? A beautiful example. Bajaj Auto, right, wanted to set up a plant in Indonesia. Second plant, scooter motorcycle manufacturing plant. The total project cost of that plant was coming to around 25,000 crores. Bajaj had two options, isn't it? One is fund that plant with debt, or use its own retained earnings to fund that. At that point of time, Bajaj Auto was having a retained earnings of around 27,000 crores. Right. So Bajaj decided, since I have the money, isn't it, I better make use of that money. So out of that 27,000 crore, 25,000 crore was put in that particular plant. Right. And because the cost of capital was low, the plant was profitable from day one. The first year, end of the year, the plant was running at a profit. Right. That means they break even in the first year itself. Next year onwards, it is profit for Bajaj Auto forever. Human resource. Human resource is probably the only resource, right, which appreciates over a period of time. All the other resources depreciate over a period of time, isn't it? And it is this resource which handles all the other resources. Information system, right? It is very important because information system ensures managerial decision making by providing timely and accurate information, right? It is so important, you know, when you go to a retail outlet like Big Bazaar, how many times you see that a particular product is out of stock? Seldom, very rarely, isn't it? Do you know why? The inventory of a particular product is not done by Big Bazaar. It says if it is Kisan, isn't it? Let the inventory be tracked by Kisan people only, isn't it? If it is for Lux or for Dove or for any other product, let Hindustan Lever take care of it. Anytime a product is swiped, isn't it? The information reaches the back office. So, sitting in the Mumbai office, Hindustan Lever knows what is the stock level at the outlet at Rohini. So, the moment it touches the reorder level, even before Big Bazaar does anything, Hindustan Lever sends the next shipment, so that before a stock out, the stock has been replenished. And it is possible only through information systems. Got it? Nowadays, no major company are maintaining their own inventories. A car assembler like Maruti, they themselves produce very few parts. What they do is they assemble, they get it from others, isn't it? The ERP system just need to tell them this is what our requirement for this particular month. Got it? The moment say, okay, this month let's say Maruti is going to manufacture 50,000 Dzires. Now there is a bill of material for Dzires. Got it? So it immediately 50,000 into 4 tires, 2 lakh tires are going to be required of this dimension. Right? If assume that there is 100 screws, nuts and bolts are getting used in there, along with the dimensions. So that means the moment you feed that figure, the ERP system calculates this is the bill of material that is going to be required in this particular month. And that information is passed on to the suppliers. So the suppliers start preparing, okay, if this is the requirement, how much is in stock, how much needs to be procured. And the supplier keep sending them, right, so that there is no stock out and there is no question of the production getting stalled because of non-availability of a component or a part. Correct? And general management. This is basically the administration which takes care of the overall information. Now, each of those areas you are going to have strengths and weaknesses. Getting it? Now, it will be too detailed if we go into the details of it. You can just glance through it and we can proceed further. In each of those cases, I have tried to find out what would be treated as a strength for that particular operation and what would be treated as a weakness for those particular functions. For example, one I will take low cost of production. Is it going to be an advantage for the production function? Of course it is, because if we are able to do that, we will be able to sell our product in the market as a price lower as compared to our competitors. The same thing, if we are incurring higher cost on our operational production, it is a disadvantage for us. Correct? So this is how I have tried to put in for each of those functional areas, which are the strengths and which are the weaknesses. Cost of capital is one of the major issues. So if our cost of capital is low, correct, it is an advantage. In fact, if you have tried to analyze the balance sheet of a bank, profit and loss statement of a bank, isn't it? You will see that even if the turnover or the volume they do is very huge, the profitability that they get is very low, isn't it? Where do you think banks get their profits from? There is something called a NIM. What is it? Net interest margin. And what is the net interest margin? It is the spread between the cost of deposits and the returns they earn by giving loans. Actually, loan is a liability for everybody else, but it is an asset for the bank. And that is why when a bank is not able to recover a particular loan, they call it NPA. It is a non-performing asset, isn't it? And you may surprise how a loan is an asset. It is a loan and an asset for the bank, because that is where they get their money from. Getting it? So the bank with the maximum NIM is the most profitable, isn't it? And that is why banks like SBI, right, by virtue of its thousands of branches, right, and in each of the branches they have got so many accounts, even if a person maintains the minimum amount, right, they are sitting tight on a huge amount of cash. Correct? And what is the kind of percentage, interest percentage that a savings account earns? 3.54%, isn't it? And that money is invested at 10%, 12%, 11%, isn't it? So the net interest margin is very, very high, and even if they take care of all the expenses, you are still left with so much money that you are profitable for, kind of, as a huge profit. Human resources, the skills of people, learnability of the people, turnover, employee turnover, motivation and morale, all those things are factors for this thing. Information system, accuracy, reliability and integrity of that data. These are the three factors which are very, very important. It talks about, general management talks about leadership. Now, another factor which is going to feed us with constant information as to what the business is doing is something called a ratio analysis, isn't it? At any point of time, if you want to know how well a particular process is going on, right, the best way to refer to is a ratio analysis. Compare that with what has been there and you know whether you are performing better or you are performing worse. There is an internal analysis qualitatively, right, as an answer of Grieve, wherein here you list down the functions, okay, and then what are the degrees in a range of 1 to 5, right. If your facilities are excellent, you can give it a 5. If your facilities are pathetic, you can give a 1. Got it? Similarly, personal skills of your top management. If your top management has a visionary leadership, you can put a 5 over there, right. And if it is just kind of the management lacks vision, you can give a 0 over there. Similarly, you can fill in all this column and come out with a profit. Then historical analysis. Each of those functions, how much you have been doing and what you are doing today. For example, R&D. In research and development, what has been your spend 3 years back, 2 years back, a year back and today, right. So this is going to tell you where you are heading. Are you increasing your spend on R&D or you are decreasing? This is the kind of thing, spend on R&D is not reflected on your balance sheet today, but it has a huge impact on what your balance sheet is going to look like a year later, isn't it? For this, what happens is in the case of limited companies, public limited companies, they need to publish their quarterly results, right. It is mandated by SEBI and they have to produce the quarterly results, okay. In one case what happened, the quarterly result was not very good, what is supposed to be, and the management was not pleased with that. So what they did was they replaced the CEO, got somebody else, assuming that this guy is going to perform better than the earlier one. And this guy, what he did was, he saw that a lot of money is being spent on R&D. So he tried to tighten it, right. So the very next quarter, the finances show a promise that it has improved as compared to the last quarter, isn't it? As a result of tightening of this, right, the new products, in fact it was a pharma company, so the new molecules, new generic drugs that were lined up did not hit the market at the appropriate time, and a year later they saw that the financial performance is actually going down, and that too permanently, isn't it? So the management realized its mistake and immediately rectified the situation. So there are, here, unless you do a comparison, you will not be able to know actually whether you are doing it right or you are doing it wrong. And in some cases, in the enthusiasm to make a balance sheet looks impressive, isn't it? Many companies try to squeeze their money into research and development, which is responsible for future product innovations, right, and which is actually suicidal. The company should not do that. Yes. No, here we are going to percentage outlay focus of efforts. Outlay, yes, it is financial figures. Yes. Then the CSF approach, critical success factor approach. Got it? What is our critical success factor? Whether it is market orientation, learning, entrepreneurial management style, or organizational flexibility, what it is. We will try to find out that. And then we talk about benchmarking. What is benchmarking? Taking the industry's best practice and comparing your practice with that, and trying to figure out what are the gaps, and in order to reach there, how you are going to fill those gaps. Correct? It always helps. It always helps improve your performance. In fact, I am talking about a period almost 18 years back, 1996. I had the opportunity of visiting Samsung's plant in Singapore. Okay. Samsung at that point of time, the LEDs were not there, they were making the CRTs, cathode ray tubes. Okay. And inside a Samsung plant, there was a huge electronic board, and in big captions it was written, "We will not stop until our quality is as good as Sony's." What is the meaning of that? That means Samsung has benchmarked Sony as the ultimate quality in color television, isn't it? And those of you who had a Sony CRT in your homes would agree with me, because of the Trinitron technology, isn't it? The clarity, color, and sound of a Sony TV is much better than anything else, right? So Samsung, what it does, we are going to strive to get our quality enhanced every single day till the time we reach Sony's quality. That is what is a benchmarking. Correct? Okay, now what is a OCP, organizational capability profile? This is what it is. Okay, factors, the same thing we have discussed in environment analysis. What are the degree of importance? Again, 3, 2, 1. 3 for high, 2 for moderate, 1 for low. And what is the degree of strength or weaknesses? Right, it is minus or plus. That means plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Correct? Here the factors are more because we are considering factors from all these functions. Correct? So even if there are 5 factors from each function and we have got 6 factors, we have got 30 factors total. Got it? And at the end of it, try to figure out that. This is one which is already filled in. Okay, here it says degree of strength is 5, level of significance is 8, so the total score is this. So when you get down, right, you get, now here these figures, wherever you have a highest figure is your strength and the lowest figure is your weakness. Correct? Next, using that, how to prepare a competitive advantage profile. How does it look like? Right, it can be product related, market related, and again the advantages or disadvantages and sustainability. If you have ability to carry it on for future, your sustainability figure could be high, that is 3. If you feel it is a sporadic incident, this year it happened but questionable whether you are able to repeat it in next year and all, you can assign a low score for that. Correct? With this we come to the end of the strategic analysis part of it, and I think we are already short our time. Shall we close? The PPTs are here over there in the desktop itself, you can use it. Thank you very much.